everyone, welcome back to this week's Bourbon of the Week. If you haven't been here before, do me a favor, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be updated on where your favorite bourbons fall on our ranking sheet. We keep it simple here on the channel. We broke it down into 3 categories: price, taste, drinkability. It's really all you need to figure out what you should buy and what you should not buy. If you've been here before, thanks for stopping back and welcome. This week we're going with Balcones Texas Pot Still Bourbon. This is a 92 proof bourbon, and we're going to see where it falls on the ranking sheet, and we're also going to learn exactly what a pot still does for your favorite bourbon. Let's do it. Cheers. So here we have it, the Balcones, the Texas-based bourbon. This is a 4-grain bourbon and coming in at a 92 proof, which apparently is a lower proof than they're normally putting out, but we'll get into that in a minute. Everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. Ooh, not my favorite. So before we get started on the Balcones, I want to say special shout out to Penelope. We just reviewed them the other week. I will make sure to link that above as we talk about it now. They sent me these amazing glasses and a couple expressions that I haven't gotten to try. So shout out Penelope, but that's enough about that. As for this, Texas-based bourbon, everything comes from Texas. 4 grain, like I talked about. Undisclosed mash bill, at least 2 years aged. I'm assuming only 2 years aged. No age statement on this bottle or anything like that. So it is a 4 grain. They do have all Texas-based ingredients. So they have a Texas wheat, a Texas blue corn, a Texas rye, and then the only one that they don't get from Texas is the malted barley, which is from Scotland, apparently. I don't know how true that is, but I read it online, so I'm telling you that. Take it with a grain of salt, no pun intended. But as for this, drinkability, 92 proof, 46% alcohol by volume. Not that great. From what I hear, they have a lot of higher proof expressions that they're used to putting out, and this is kind of toned down from what they normally do. So I don't know if those drink a little bit easier and they're not used to making lower proof expressions or what they're doing. This is pot still, which we'll talk about in a little bit for the Bourbon Bomb of the Week. But for a 92 proof, this doesn't drink that easy. I don't like the flavor profile either, which we'll talk about on taste. But let's stick strictly drinkability. Does this have a big ethanol kick? Can you drink it easily? And the answer is no, you can't. I would put an ice cube in this if I wanted to continue drinking this. I don't want to continue drinking this. But if I had to, I would put an ice cube in it because you really need to tone it down a little bit, especially with how, I don't want to say good the flavor profile is, but how prevalent it is. We'll get into that again in taste. But drinkability alone, let's give this I'm going to give it like a 6.8 on drinkability because I don't think it's that good. Now, taste on this one's going to be a little tough. So I like to try to make sure that I do enjoy the flavor profile when I tell you guys about taste, but I also don't want to knock it just because it's not my particular taste profile that I enjoy. This one, I don't like the taste. I don't like what they're offering. I don't like what I get on the tongue. It's like almost a very herbal, grassy note, maybe a little bit of honey, but there's something about it that doesn't taste good to me. I don't know if it's the blue corn, the Texas blue corn, whatever that is, that makes it different from a Kentucky corn or anything like that, but it's very sweet to start. It's not a high rye if I had to guess. That wheat is what I'm guessing. The wheat and the corn is really what's bringing the flavor profile together for this, and I don't like it. I don't enjoy it, but at the same time, the flavors are there. They're very unique flavors for a bourbon. It's not your traditional bourbon flavors, but they're there. They're heavy. They're not watered down or anything like that. So I don't want to knock it just because I don't like the flavor profile, but at the same time, if it doesn't taste good, if I don't enjoy it, then I can't give it the greatest score as well. I would recommend trying this. If you're looking for a unique bourbon experience, if you don't like a traditional caramel, vanilla, oak bourbon, then this probably is you might like this a little bit better than your traditional bourbon because it is unique. That being said, unique isn't always good because if you're drinking bourbon, you want it to taste like bourbon. This doesn't, if you ask me. So as for flavor, as for taste, I'm going to give this again, because it's not my favorite, but the flavors are there, I'm going to give it like a 7.6 on the taste scale. So last but not least, we're going to get into price on this. Now, my buddy brought this up from Texas. He bought it for me. I didn't get it here in Pennsylvania, but he got it for $31. So that's the price we're going to go off of for this. It MSRP is around $30, so that seems to be fair. $31 for this is a okay ask. I would like it a lot cheaper because I don't like anything about it. I wouldn't pay $31 for this. I probably wouldn't pay $20 for this, and that's just my personal preference on this. So I can't give it the greatest score when it comes to price just because it's hard to pay for a bottle or even think about a number that you would pay for a bottle if you don't like the bottle at all. when you're talking about there's other bottles out there. Now, it is pot stilled, which we're going to talk about in a minute with the Bourbon Bomb of the Week. But $31 for me is a little bit high for a bourbon that is only 92 proof and doesn't taste that great. And the drinkability is not that great either. So what kind of value am I getting out of the bottle? And the answer isn't $31 worth. So as for price on this, I'm going to give it like a 5.9 on the price scale. And again, I only put it down that low just because I wouldn't pay for it again. So why would I even give it a good price on, or a good score on price? 5.9. So as I add these scores up, let's send it over to this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week, and we can talk about what exactly it means to be a pot still whiskey and how that affects it. Let's do it. So this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week brought to you by Balcones, and this is a pot still whiskey. Now, what exactly is a pot still compared to like a traditional still that you might see in some of the bigger or larger manufacturers of whiskey? Well, a pot still is pretty simple. It's kind of what you would see on like a Moonshiners episode. Basically, you have what's called the wash, which is in your drum at the bottom. You put a heat source to that. A lot of times it used to be fire. You would just light a fire underneath it, but they found that to be very inconsistent. So what they actually started doing is using steam to make it more of a precise, exact temperature that they can get that wash to. Now, what it does is it continues up a column, and when it goes up the column, because alcohol evaporates at a lower temperature than water does, I believe it's like 172 to 173, while water is at that 212 mark. Basically, as it goes up, the water is going to separate off of the ethanol, and the ethanol / alcohol is going to continue up to the top. Now, once it gets to the top, it's going to come down a separate column, and when it comes down that column, they're going to cool it on that end, and that's how you're going to get the liquid to come out at the end. Now, apparently, pot still is a very good way of keeping all of the flavor profiles, which is why this probably has such a robust, unique flavor compared to something that's not pot stilled. The reason that it can do that is because nothing's separating the flavors out like it would in a column still. Now, a column still is basically the same as a pot still, but it just does it 2 or 3 times throughout the column. They use separators, they use dividers, they use plates, different ways they can put a column still together. But it's going to take out some of that flavor as well as some of that ethanol. So you lose a lot more ethanol when using a pot still than you would in a column still. They can save a lot more, but you're also going to get a more flavorful and higher proof alcohol using a pot still. It's always interesting to learn about the distilling process and how it affects the actual flavor profile and ethanol of a bourbon. But that's what we've got here, a pot still bourbon. As for this one, it did not do that well this week. We have a 6.53 repeating. We'll call it 6.53, which really puts it down at the bottom of the list there, almost near our Hudson Whiskey Baby Bourbon, which was one of my least favorites at the time. So this is going to be down at the bottom of the list, but I'm always interested in something that I don't like to get a second opinion on it. So let's send it over to this week's Rissa's Reviews and see what she thinks. Cheers.
Ready.
Balcones Texas Bourbon. Jason brought this. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
And our Penelope glasses.
Oh, love them.
Love
They're so
them.
great.
They're the greatest. They're greatest. Time for the traditional sip. Cheers.
Not bad. Okay. Jinxed myself. Not bad.
Taste-wise? Or
Burn-wise.
not a lot of burn?
I don't think so.
It's a 92 proof.
That's pretty good for a 92.
Okay.
You don't think so?
How's it taste?
All right, let me see. Yeah, it has a little bit of like a yucky aftertaste.
Yucky. That's one of the tasting notes that I would put in with it as well. Yucky.
But I don't hate it.
You have the most different tasting. This is one of the worst bourbons I've had. It's down with Hudson Whiskey Baby Bourbon.
I can put this in my mouth and it doesn't feel like it's about to kill me.
Okay, so drinkability is good. Maybe I'll change my drinkability.
Is good.
Should I change my drinkability score?
Yeah, it doesn't. And I have not been drinking, so it's not like I prepped for this.
What does that taste though? It's like grassy.
Grassy.
It's a 4 grain, 92 proof, 94 proof, 612, 92 proof.
I like the bottle.
Nice. Love the bottle.
Love the bottle. That red label really pops out at you.
Right.
I'm guessing there's corn in it.
There's corn. It's 51%. Literally has to be corn in it. 51% corn makes bourbon.
Well, I know the one thing is all corn, so this isn't all corn.
51% corn at least. I don't know the mash bill. So you're a Balcones fan. That's what we're getting.
I guess I am.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought. I actually wanted you to drink this one because I thought you would hate it. And here you are. You're loving it.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. It tastes really like, I get like a clean palate.
A clean palate.
Like when you sip it, it's nice and cool.
6.8 on drinkability. I should up that.
Yeah.
I should
have
up
to
that.
re-record that.
Nah, I'm not going to re-record it. We'll just make the twerk. We'll have...
Twerk?
The twerks. The tweaks. We'll just twerk it right here.
All right, ready?
Get the heck out of here. I was gonna. On drinkability alone.
Drinkability. I don't get a lot of burn.
I'm gonna jump it to a 7.5.
Okay.
I still don't think it's that good, but it is. Now that I've had 2 or 3 glasses, though, that might be the reason why.
Why it's more drinkable for you?
Right, because it's not my
I've
first
had
sip.
0 glasses. So
if we up that to a 7.5, let's redo the math here 1 sec. That's gonna give us a new average of 6.77.
Never done before.
We have done that before.
In Arissa's review, have
Never
we ever
done
changed the score?
Oh, I forgot. Are we going thumbs up, thumbs middle, or thumbs down?
Give me a thumbs up.
Thumbs
I don't
up.
hate it.
She likes it, folks.
I'm not saying I like it, but if I don't hate it, it gets a thumbs up.
I don't think I would ever buy it again. Thanks for the free bottle, though, Jason.
Right.
Thumbs up from Rissa's reviews. Bottle review gets a good bottle review.
Yeah.
We upped the drinkability for the first time ever here on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're going to leave it. No twerks.
Well, maybe if you stick around.
No, that's literally not going to happen. But that's where we're going to leave it. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Oh, by the way, make sure you check out the Bourbon Review Instagram. Bourbon of the Week on Instagram. Every Tuesday, we drop an image of the bourbon that we're going to review. So as of yesterday, we had a picture of this up. Once you get on there, you can guess what you think my score is going to be. If you're the closest, you're going to be featured on the channel and entered in a drawing to win something monthly. So each month I'll pick the 4 people that won that month. Last week we had the Big Rocky coming in 0.04 off of the... What did we do last week?
I didn't do anything.
New riff. He was 0.04 off. We had 2 people 0.04 off. One was below, one was above, so we went Price is Right rules only.
What?
You can't go over.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Closest to the actual given value without going over. So we did Price is Right rules, didn't go over. So the Big Rocky's going to win that one. Congrats to him. He'll be entered in. Make sure you go follow. Make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. And as always, wash your hands. Pandemic ain't over, y'all. Cheers.
See ya.